Welcome back to Bet Haven, the safe place for safe plays. We are back after the Masters, post Masters hangover. I don't really know how to feel. It's kind of like the post vacation blues right now. We're back to the regular world of golf, and it's
At least
some.
it's elevated. We got an elevated event here. At
Is it
least
elevated?
it is shortened
Oh yeah,
field,
because there's no cut.
elevated, no cut. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Obviously, we're gonna get into the RBC heritage in a little bit. Let's talk about how the Masters went for us. If you weren't present in the last video, let's put the board up here for our picks from last week. You can see how we did. New board layout this week, so you can ignore the old layout. We're on to bigger and better things. Um, we hit on Bryson first round leader, and that was easily the biggest payday for both of us, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh, for the week. Yeah, for the week for sure.
Well, I mean, my outrights, I talked about it last week, and I had two tickets on Max Homa, one at 75 to 1 that I placed like 20 minutes before they teed off, and then another at 40 to 1 that I placed a month ago. So, was able to sweat that out all weekend. Didn't really hedge much. I had some Caesars rewards, which I got from that's how Caesars does their referral codes. They give you like Caesars rewards, and you can convert that to do bets with. But I saw Morikawa kind of sneaking up, and I hedged with him on Saturday. And I did that, thinking that I had Max Homa in the bag. I watched what he did on during the third round, and the guy just did not convert. I mean, it felt like every time I tuned in, because I was watching the broadcast, I was watching the featured groups, and he was showing a lot. Like they had that camera on Homa anytime he was 100 yards and in or whatever. It felt like that was all the time. But Homa just did not convert any of the birdie opportunities on Saturday, and then he kind of did the same thing again on Sunday. I mean, he had a pretty early birdie, but I actually went back and looked at the stats, and he missed 12 birdie putts inside of 15 feet between rounds 3 and 4.
It's going full Scotty mode.
That's that you can't do that.
Well, not Scotty of recent, but yeah.
Well, yes, but I think Scotty's like up to like I don't know what his actual stats are, but he's gained. He's got to have gained.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine now.
Which is a problem.
Yeah,
it's a big problem. I don't know what to do this week with him either. Everybody was like, "Oh, he's gonna withdraw. He won, and he's post-round interview. I want to go home. I want to go home to my. All right, I'm not gonna badmouth Scotty. It's frustrating to be in the position that we're in, where we're like, it feels like every week now we're just like, how do we bet around Scotty? And we got to do the same thing again this week apparently because the mother doesn't want to go home and just take a break. You're about to have a kid, dude. Just go relax a little bit.
Yeah, Shakti's not hasn't WD'd to this point, and I feel like if he was going to do that, he would have already done it.
You see guys all the time win and WD for the next event that aren't having a baby. Also, if we're going to talk about the baby situation, I didn't hear Sam Burns' name mentioned one time for like, oh, Sam Burns might leave the course. Maybe it's because he shot whatever the hell he shot. I mean, did he even make the cut?
No.
Yeah, that's probably why. But yeah, I mean, we hit the Bryson first round leader. You hedged with Scotty. I never did. I didn't really. I think they said during round 3 he bogeyed. Which hole? I don't. Maybe 12 or 13, and he went to plus 375, and that was like that would have been the time to jump on him. Round 3 plus 375 live bet. That would have been fine. I never saw that number, and again, I just felt like Max was gonna go into Sunday and convert the looks he was having. The dude was a absolute robot off the tee to the green and just was not making putts. I was like, there's no way he's going to do that again on Sunday, and it's basically exactly what he did on Sunday. Still, kind of happy. I think I told you like a year ago that Max Homa was going to win the Masters. Seriously, and that's like when we got
almost.
When we got the ability to place these bets in North Carolina, one of the very first bets I placed with the bonus bets, all those incentives and whatnot, which, by the way, if you haven't utilized those, make sure you check out the link in the description of this video. You can also find it on our profile, FanDuel, DraftKings, all of the books, any book you want. we've got referral codes for. You can take advantage of bonus bets and deposit matches on all of those. Do that. That's what I did when I signed up, and I went straight to Caesars. It was like, oh, here's a $50 bonus bet. Boom, Max Homa Masters, and I got, like I said, it dropped from, or it went up from 40-1, which is what it was a month ago, to 75-1 right before they teed off, and I was
You
like,
ended up having a terrible number.
yeah, but at the same time, like FanDuel was like the only book I saw with 75. Like I even checked, like right when I saw
Yep.
that number, I was like, that's a massive number.
I did the same. I had 10 on Homa at 75.
Went to DraftKings still had him at 55 at the time I bet him. So I was like, either way, it didn't matter. It was a bonus bet. It was free money. So, um, still happy to have picked him as, my top 40 lock and to have that ticket, and just, it was fun to watch. But man, it was not fun to watch him just miss putts. And it's not like he putted bad. Like I said, all these misses were inside of 15 feet, which, I don't know what the conversion rate on those are, but you just felt like someone that was there all weekend would eventually start making some of those.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into what I had. I had a ticket on. I did what you did, except with Bryson when North Carolina betting became legal. Bryson was the first guy I bet to win the Masters. I had him at about what he went off at, which is like 30 to 35 in there. So I had him, I had Homa, and I had Aubert. And so the best thing I did all weekend as far as like live betting goes was I bet after the round Friday, I bet Scotty to win and parlayed it with Cam Smith and Xander to finish top 10.
Right.
And that was at a pretty decent number. I think it was like 25 to win 200 and something. It's on the page. But that was the best thing I did as far as kind of hedging what I already had, because Bryson, Aubert, and Homo were all right there. And it looked like any one of those guys could potentially win.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't just Homo. Like nobody broke out of the pack until Scotty did on Sunday. They were all
Yeah,
five,
and it was kind of
six,
it was
seven.
kind of gifted. I mean, everybody fell apart right around where kind of everybody always falls apart at the Masters, right around holes 11 and 12, and Aubert went in the water, Morikawa went in the water in 11, and then Homa hits the hardest piece of ground I've ever seen behind the green on 12, goes up into the bush, then hits a terrible chip, by the way. Ends up, well, I think he made a triple there,
Yeah.
and that was it. That was a
Or
wrap.
was it a double? Because he was 1 and 2 out hitting three to the top of the hill, four down, five in, right?
It might have been a double.
Yeah, it was a double.
Either way, then Bryce hit the green, two putted. It was a huge moment. Right around 11 and 12 is where Scotty pretty much won. I mean, the last four holes of that golf tournament were drama free. Scotty had it pretty much in the bag. And then he went on to even stuff it again. I think it was maybe 14 or something like that. Where
Is that the one where it looked like it was about to go in?
Yeah, he hit it to like, I think a foot. So it was over. The
I saw
last
that.
45 minutes of that tournament.
I saw him hit that shot, and they switched the camera view to behind the hole, and it like the whole way it was in, and then like the last 6 inches it just veered off to the left, and I was like, oh my god. But when Max hit it in the bushes, I knew it was over. I just did.
Yeah, he actually didn't hit that bad of a shot. It was probably maybe a yard longer than he wanted it. And to
Dude,
he hit the
it
down
jetted.
slope on, like again, like it looked like hard
It
clay or
looked
something.
so weird. I mean, and he like they didn't have a shot tracer on it. He wasn't talking to it. He
No.
literally hit that ball, just kind of stared at it. And it's not, he didn't really have like any kind of reaction. I don't even think he knew what happened. Like he saw it hit, and then he just looked so confused.
Yeah.
Because he probably didn't miss the number by that much. Like you said, it was
No,
by
I think
a
he
yard
missed
or
his mark
so.
by a yard or two, and when it happened, he was just like, "Did that actually just happen?"
Yeah, no, I actually really like Max Homa, so I hope he continues to have success in the majors. This is the first one he's really competed in at all. So
Yeah, I truly believe he is going to win a major in the next, we'll say, 2 years.
yeah, and that's why I bet him the way that I did, and described it last week. I just feel like he's too good of a golfer to just be one of those guys that doesn't hang around in the majors. So it was good to see that. Aubert, I mean, my God, that guy is just an absolute menace
Yeah,
on
he's
a golf
legit.
course.
He's legit, man.
He's
Look
in the
out.
field. He's in the field this week.
Yeah, look out for him going forward. Majors, non-majors. He might be Scotty's rival for the next couple of years. We never know, but it could
I
be.
mean,
I could see it.
he hits that ball long and straight off the tee every single time. And then like even when he messes up, he doesn't really change his demeanor at all. He hit that ball in the water, and he was just like laughing about it a little bit, which sometimes you kind of want to see a competitive edge, but I think his just shows differently by just the game. I
Yeah,
don't
there's
think
levels to it. Even
yeah,
when the guy knocked the power bar out of his hand, did you see that?
he was laughing about it too.
Yeah, he had a
He
good
stopped
attitude
like
about it.
he was like, he looked like he was about to get mad about it, and then he just kind of
Yeah,
cracked a smile and walked away.
yeah, he had a
But
good attitude about it.
yeah,
After that, interestingly enough, though, after that, he was not the same. I think he went like 3 or 4 over from that point on.
you think the guy smacking the power bar out of his hand really
Might have
did it?
ruined the
That guy
momentum.
does eat. Did you like the first thing he did after the round? They showed a picture of him. He had like Chipotle catered.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a machine all in all facets.
Yeah.
Let's jump into RBC. There are actually two tournaments taking place this week. We're only going to touch on RBC. I don't know if you done anything for Corrales.
I haven't.
Corrales at Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. It's a shorter field from a. Is it shorter? No, there's more people in it because there's a cut in that one.
Yeah, it's
So
full
it's just a
field. It's just
weaker field.
a lot of the guys that you don't really care about too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's some names in it. Some, I think the favorite is Alex Noren, which why?
I have no interest in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we won't touch on that one, but we will discuss RBC. We're gonna do the same thing we did last week. We got the board here already. We're gonna place our first round leader bet, our favorite play, top 20 and top 40, and then we'll jump into some discussion on some other outliers. But I'll let you kick it off with first round leader, Chandler.
So first round leader, where we just been just raking it in. I mean, what is it? 3 weeks?
No, this is 4 weeks.
4 weeks in a row.
So we had Bryson last week, Akshay the week before, Taylor Moore the week before that.
Yeah.
What was the tournament before that?
I think that's it. That's it for me. Moore, Akshay, Bryson. You
Yeah.
did the weekend before that with like Hughes was in contention.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
But I don't think you had a first round leader.
Nope.
So we're going for 4 here. Let's make it happen. I'm going with JT Post. And let me tell you why.
Come on.
JT Poston in his final round of the Masters. By the way, he cashed the top 40. So I don't want to hear any
He
complaining.
did catch the top 40. And I tell you what, it did not look like he was going to catch the top 40 at one point.
No. He was 2 under on his first round. He was 2 under at the turn. He was right there in like the top 10. He made a triple on 12.
The big numbers were out there this week.
It's a triple on 12. So that was pretty much a wrap on his first round. But in his final round at the Masters, he made 7 birdies. He only shot 2 under, which means he made a lot more big numbers again. 7 birdies. There was only, I believe, 2 other guys to make 7 or more birdies that day.
Let me guess. Tom Kim and
Yes.
Siwoo.
And Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, yeah. How many did Siwoo make?
So I'm not sure. I actually didn't even look. Probably around there, but not quite there. Anyways, JT Poston can get hot is my point. And for a round 1 bet at 45 to 1, 45 to 1, shortened field at a course that he loves. He's got 3 top 10s in his last 5 showings here at this course. He's great. He's a great fit for this course. He's very accurate off the tee. You're going to need to be accurate off the tee this week. There's a lot of playing to certain spots. Driving distance isn't going to matter nearly as much as it normally would.
Mm-hmm.
So a very accurate guy, a very potential hot putter, could be a round 1 leader. Love the number 45 to 1 in a shortened field. Coming off of a 7 birdie round 4 at the Masters. Give me JT Poston.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think 7 birdies in the final round. Conditions were the best that day.
Yes.
Like you saw guys it just felt like they couldn't do anything all tournament, starting on Thursday. And then we all thought Saturday was going to be a good scoring day. And then you really didn't see any kind of change as far as, what that looked like. But yeah, I could see Poston doing it, especially, coming off of a good final rounds. I like that. I guess we'll have to throw that one in there. But my first round leader is going to be, and I was back and forth on this pick. I'm not in love with picking first round leader just because it is such a dart throw. Yes, we've hit, but anyways, I'm gonna go with
maybe not a dart throw.
That's true.
Maybe not as much as you think.
That's true too. I'm going with Matthew Pavon. Matthew Pavon is like, he's got some finishes, and he's got some finishes in spots that, and he's fairly. I don't know what is this his. It says he turned pro in 2015, but I think as far as like his actual tour, PGA Tour.
He's new to the scene for
Yeah,
sure. I mean, he's definitely hasn't been on our radar at all
I think
until
he's like
this
DP
year.
World Tour, kind of coming from that side of things. I don't know if he what exposures he's had to Corn Ferry, but anyways, he's fifth in first round scoring average, which that's measured over 8 rounds this season. Um, he's not somebody that's incredibly long off the tee. Um,
It's fun.
he's got some good showings of accuracy though. The Masters he finished 12th, T12. Um, lost strokes on approach. That was the only category he lost strokes in throughout the tournament. And he was fairly accurate off the tee. And I just feel like we're seeing kind of this new side of the PGA Tour where these new golfers are showing out, and you've got the top dogs like Scheffler, and you're seeing Rory kind of take a step back as far as the finishes go, and Spieth is struggling right now. Justin Thomas had a full-on implosion during his second round, so it just kind of opens the door, and I think these guys know it too. And that's you've got a win here for Pavone at Farmers, and then he followed it up immediately at Pebble Beach with a third place. So he's coming off of I think it was a European Tour event before the Masters. He played Singapore or somewhere in there, finished fifth, and then the T12 at the Masters. So obviously he's still in good form. Coming off of some of these better finishes at the beginning of the year, and again the fifth, the ranking of fifth in first round scoring average. That's why I'm going with it. It's not it's not a flashy play, it's not a sexy play, but he's proven ability to compete with these guys.
Do you know what his number is?
No, I didn't look
Look
it
up
up.
his number, and I'm going to tell you something even more that's going to make me like him, and I'll bet him
Are
as
you
well.
on? Should I? I'll go FanDuel just
Yeah.
because.
Matthew Pavon is number one this year on tour in strokes gained putting, which for a round one leader bet is very important. You need a guy that's going to get hot, as I've mentioned. And if you're number one in strokes gained putting on tour in 2024, that's a pretty good stat to have for a round one leader.
Yeah, and he didn't even like go crazy with the putter last week at the Masters. Gained almost half a stroke throughout the week, so a lot of his stuff came from off the tee and around the greens. Let's see, Pavone. Oh, I also want to touch on FanDuel's not letting me parlay top 20s. Have you tried?
Mm-mm.
I was trying earlier and it was not letting me do that. But while I look for that,
Okay.
we can think about that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Matthew Pavone is plus 5,500.
Bigger than Poston.
Lock it in.
So we're going with two kind of long shots in the first round.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not going favorites at all, which
mm,
is fine. If you want
yeah.
to bet a first round leader, you kind of want a big number.
And
Same on
Scotty, I think
judges.
I think Scotty is first in round one scoring average.
He's like first in probably everything.
So I mean, but you don't really see him. How many first round leaders has we haven't seen that at all
He
this year, I
almost
don't
he
think.
almost got us for
True. Oh
Bryson.
my God. We didn't even talk about, and we're not gonna I don't want to keep the Masters, like I said, it's a little bit of a hangover situation here for that. But
He
yeah,
almost
we
got us.
almost got on that Bryson bet.
Yeah, he almost.
And that is not the guy you want chasing. When you're like sweating out a bet, Scotty Scheffler is the last person on earth you want chasing the person you've got.
Yep.
And maybe we should, every bet that we place, I think the new rule of thumb is every bet we place, we just do the exact same bet with Scotty Scheffler, no matter what the odds are. Which I guarantee first round leader 12-1, Scotty Scheffler.
Poston.
Poston. All right. So we got the first round leader in there. We'll add that to the board. Keep you guys updated with that. We're gonna move on to favorite play.
So my favorite play this week is a guy that was in contention this week at the Masters, but he never really threatened to win, and that's Xander Schauffele. Xander has done nothing wrong in like his last since 2024 really. He's been fine in every category, fine in every single tournament. He's right there. This is a good course fit for him. He was fourth year last year. He does everything good, and he is trending. It's going to happen at some point for him. Why not this week? His last four starts 25th, 2nd, 5th, 8th, Like I said last year, fourth this tournament. In his last 36 rounds, he is number 2 in strokes gained tee to green, behind, of course, Scotty Scheffler. But there is a significant gap between second to third. Third is Rory McIlroy, nearly a half a shot around. Xander, it's going to happen for him. Why not this week? I have bet him at 11-1. I think that number has actually dropped a little bit. I bet that pretty much right when the odds came out. He might be down to like 9 now. Don't quote me on that, but I got him at 11-1. I will also have him on DraftKings. He is 10,800. I think he is the third choice behind Scotty and Rory. So yeah, Xander.
Are we going to talk about Rory continuing to be at the top of these betting boards and just are they ever gonna just adjust it? Because I would actually like to bet him, coming up, and he's gonna figure it out. I don't know when it's gonna be. I don't know.
He's so close. Like even if you look at his stats, he's like I said, he's third in strokes gained tee to green in the entire field this week in the last 36 rounds. He's like just cranking out top 20s basically in all of his events this year.
Xander's 10-1, by the way.
10 now.
And he's in front of Rory and Ludwig, who are both 12-1.
Okay, so Rory's number has gone up then, because Rory was second choice on the board to start with.
Well, I feel like he's probably getting no attention at 10-1.
It's the same thing on DraftKings. I'm looking to hit a projection ownership of around 6% on Rory.
If you're gonna pick Rory, you're gonna pick him at a tournament that leans heavily on driving distance, and like you said before, this is more of like a spot placement kind of tournament, and distance is
one of his
negated
weapons
here.
is definitely driving distance.
Yeah.
He does pretty much everything pretty dang good, but definitely one of his weapons is the distance.
Right. Okay, so Xander favorite play. There's not much to say. It's sort of the same things I touched on last week when I picked him as my favorite play. He finished 8th at the Masters. Kind of had a slow start, and then hit the gas Saturday, Sunday. And when I say hit the gas, I mean he didn't screw up. A lot of guys were making huge numbers, and he's just so consistent.
He's right there.
Yeah.
I think he was 6th in approach last week at the Masters out of the field there. He's right there. He's doing everything right. It's going to click, and I think it could potentially click this week.
Yeah, I like it. My favorite play, and it's a little less safe, I would say, than your favorite play, but I had a lot of this guy in parlays and on DraftKings, and it's Tommy Fleetwood. I mentioned last video that what we were seeing out of Fleetwood was kind of a struggle with the irons, and his approach numbers had taken a hit. Now there's a lot of tournaments he was still gaining on approach, but when he was missing bad. Lost almost 4 strokes on approach at Arnold Palmer, and a stroke and a half at Charles Schwab earlier this year, or last year. You were seeing a number on the stroke gain approach that you're just not typically used to seeing with Tommy Fleetwood. You've now seen him gain in 2 tournaments in a row. At the Masters, it was almost 1.25 strokes, and then 1.15 at Valero. So 2 in a row here, we've seen Tommy gain on approach. And not just that, you've seen sort of a balanced stat profile. Gained on every category at the Masters. At Valero, he gained on every category except for putting. Putting, one of those things that we always talk about. It can change so much, and he's typically a good putter, so I'm not worried about it. I watched a lot of the Masters throughout the tournament, and every time they showed Tommy, he just never looked uncomfortable like a lot of these golfers did. And I'm sort of, when looking at, the guys to place bets on and to build lineups with this week, I was sort of nervous. The Masters beat the crap out of these guys for 4 days in a row. So anybody that made the cut was just like, how tired,
especially guys that have been playing. There's several guys in this field that have been playing for the last 3-4 weeks in a row. We're going on 5-6 weeks for some of these guys.
Yeah, and I think Tommy just never really, to me, kind of showed any signs of distress or that he was getting drained mentally or whatever. And a T3 finish. So and I don't know what his last round was, but I think he had a pretty decent final round to get him into that tie for third place. Tommy's not a sexy pick. He's not. He doesn't win. That's kind of his thing. It's similar to Xander with majors, but we're just talking about winning in general.
Yeah, Xander can win. Fleetwood in general, he just can't win.
We're gonna see it happen. I'm not saying it's gonna happen this week, but he is way too good to just never win. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna win a lot, but he on the PGA, of course, we're talking about, because I think he's won some European events. Yeah, again, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I would not be surprised to see another top 10. We've got 2 in a row here, a handful over the last season, 2 seasons. So I think, Tommy feeling a little bit of a heater right now, with the 2 finishes in the last 2 tournaments, and hopefully he can keep it going. And it's a good course fit. You hate it.
I've got a gut feeling that Tommy's maybe not going to play good this week, and that is literally just a gut feeling. And I know that he's had some caddy things. He had a local caddy last week. I don't know who's on his bag this week. His longtime caddy, I think, is sick or something.
He's sick. Yeah, they said he was unwell. That was like the report that I saw.
So hopefully he's going to pull through and be okay. But I don't know what that does to a guy. And I know that a new caddy can be great sometimes, and it can be terrible other times. And obviously last week for him, it was great to have a local guy and a new face and a new voice. But maybe this week.
Well, I think Tommy knew the guy. It was a local caddy to Augusta, but he knew him. It was like, I saw the quote. I can't, I'm not going to quote it word for word, but it was like he was one of the first people I ever met the first time I came to Augusta or something like that. So there was obviously a level of comfort there, and that would speak more to your feelings of maybe he doesn't play so well, because even though he had a new caddy last week, it was somebody he was familiar with, and if it's not the same this week, I don't know if his caddy's coming back. I don't know any of that.
I don't either. But just, it's a gut feeling. There's no really stats to really super back that up that he's going to play bad. I mean,
yeah,
he was.
I'm looking at the balanced stat profile over the last 2 tournaments, and when I'm looking for something, when I'm looking for these guys, again, it's the same thing I said last week. I want some sense of balance, because it's not like he's popping with the putter or popping, randomly around the greens. It's across the board. It's pretty good.
And I would think a big reason I'm saying this is his projected ownership on DraftKings is 18%. So I'm basically talking as a DraftKings play. If I have a weird gut feeling that I don't think he's going to play that good, and he's 9,800 on DraftKings, where he was 7,500, I believe, last week. So we're seeing a huge price increase for 1 week of playing good. 18% owned for me on DraftKings. I will be fading him for the most part.
And that's, I think from DraftKings perspective, yeah, that's a totally
But
fine
I mean,
fade.
he's last 2 events, top 10s. Last year, 15th. Year before that, 10th. Yeah, I mean, there's no like stats that I'm like, oh yeah, no, that doesn't.
It's the
work.
To me too. It's the accuracy. I mean,
it's the ownership for me, and the price he is on DraftKings will be enough for me to go elsewhere.
That's fair. I mean, like I said, it wasn't. He's not a guy I play a lot, mostly because he can't win. But I just feel like it's a good spot here for him. So
it potentially could be.
Yeah. What's next? Top 20?
Top 20. So for me, top 20, lock it in. It's Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry, top 20, is plus 130. Shane Lowry is number 1 in birdie or better from 125 to 150 yards. And I know that's kind of a noisy stat, and that's really specific, but it's okay to be specific this week, because so many of these holes are dog legs that will play. You'll have to play to a certain area and then play from there. It'll be literally everybody in the field. I don't care if you're Scotty Scheffler or JT Poston. You're going to end up playing from the same area in the fairway. And if you are number 1 in the field from that distance on that specific hole, which there is a lot of 125 to 150 yard shots, I'll take the guy that's number 1 in the field in 2024, birdie or better percentage from that distance, Shane Lowry. He is also number 3 in strokes gained approach this year, which I kind of find fascinating, because if you were to ask me that blind without looking, I would not tell you that Shane Lowry is the number 3 player on strokes gained approach in 2024. He doesn't jump off the page as this amazing iron player, but clearly he's been hitting the ball pretty well.
He's kind of a sneaky flusher. Like when you watch him hit the ball, especially with irons, like he does flush the shit out of it. And
Yep.
yeah, I mean, his iron play typically, when I think of iron guys, I think of guys like Corey Connors and things. Well, obviously, I think Scotty's like one of the best on approach now too, right?
Yeah. So Shane Lowry, I mean, like I said, uh, great player. He's been top before in at the Masters. He actually hit the ball really well. Could not putt at all. Finished
Yeah,
43rd.
I looked at him earlier and I saw he kind of bleeds with the putter sometimes.
Yes, he's up and down with the putter, and that's the kind of guy that I actually like betting on. I have no problem betting on a guy that can be up and down with the putter, especially at this event. He's got three top tens in his last 5 starts at the RBC Heritage. I think it's a good bet at plus odds, especially if you were to parlay it with something else.
So he lost 1.79 strokes putting at the Masters.
Yes, and
That's a lot.
that might be per round also. That might be a per round average.
It is. It's yeah.
So 1.79 per round. That's kind of hurt.
Yeah. Gained 1.87 on approach though. So
Yeah, the approach game is there. Approach is going to be huge this week. It's really for me driving accuracy and approach and some putting this week is kind of the guys that I'm focusing on.
yeah, I can't imagine that. And I'm just kind of looking at it briefly here. Anytime he's lost over a stroke putting, he typically bounces back fairly well with the putter specifically.
Yeah, over his
So
last 36, he's not like a big loser with the putter. It's not like he's like always a bad putter. His last
no,
36 rounds, he's averaging a quarter of a stroke lost putting. So he's okay.
yeah. Which if he just is
It's
like
not his strong suit, but he's fine.
yeah. And this tournament is like I think some of the winning scores have been 18, 19 under. Like it's I don't know if I'd call it a birdie fest. You're not up in the 20s on a regular basis.
It'll be weather dependent, but I wouldn't expect a birdie fest.
Yeah. Which, for a guy, if he can just be kind of neutral with the putter, then.
Especially knowing that it's a elevated event, I would feel that they would probably try and set the course up as hard as possible.
Yeah. All right. My top 20. I literally just went after guys that I typically don't, and it is what it is.
That's a weird strategy.
It worked in the past. Brian Harmon.
Okay.
Brian
my guy.
Harmon is probably sitting on, well, not anymore, but he was probably sitting on his couch Saturday and Sunday. Like, what happened? And I'll tell you what happened. The dude shot 82 on the first round, and it was like all in the back nine.
Yeah, I want to say he shot 47 on his back nine.
That
just completely imploded.
Yeah, that is impressive. Looking at the stats, he lost on approach significantly, lost off the tee significantly, minus 1.67 strokes gained total.
It was a 47. He
Yeah.
shot 34. He was 200 at the turn. He was 200 at the turn in the first round of the Masters. He was probably in the top 10.
And shot 82.
And it was 81.
81.
But either way, 34, 47. Yikes.
That sounds like,
from top 10 to way down the board.
yeah. I don't even know how you do that. But anyways, he's not like a dog. I wouldn't consider him like one of those golfers that's like, oh, he's a dog. Like he's gonna go after it. He's like super. But I feel like he's quietly competitive. And
He's very competitive.
You don't win an Open Championship without being competitive.
Yeah, he's sneaky competitive.
Yeah.
He's not going to be like loud in your face about it, but he's definitely a very competitive guy.
So just kind of seeing what happened, and then he followed up the 81 with a 72. So
72, 4 birdies. I mean,
so clearly it's not something that just completely altered his mindset.
A little fluky. I mean, the Masters is such a hard golf course at times that you make a big number and you turn around and you're now mad and you make 2 more big numbers, and next thing you know, you shot 47.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put too much stock.
No, and I don't, and that's why I picked him again. He's his last 4 starts here, he's finished in the top 20. Again, this is top 20 play, so he's finished in the top 20 twice in the last 4 starts. The other 2 were T35 and T28. Accurate here. He's one of those guys that you kind of talked about it. He can place the ball when he needs to. We've seen it this year. He kind of did that around the the players at Sawgrass. He kind of knocked it around where he
He's in
needed to.
contention there.
So yeah, uh, I don't love his approach play, and he's kind of hit or miss with the irons. But I think he's good enough and has enough history here for me to kind of just say, okay, combined with him probably being pretty frustrated with himself for what happened at the Masters, and um, of course that it requires accuracy. I think Brian Harmon has a good week this week.
Yeah, I could see it. You know what his number is?
For top 20, I think it was like plus 150 when I looked, but let me
I'm sure it's plus something for sure. He would have to be behind. DK has plus 160.
yeah, so plus 160 on FanDuel. So he's actually, I'm pretty sure he's plus 150 when I looked the first time. So
Okay. Probably not super popular given that
probably makes him a good,
he didn't play very good.
yeah, probably makes him a good draft or fantasy pick.
People will see the big number and think, yeah, no way, that guy's in shambles, but I wouldn't look into it too much.
I also will be betting him first round leader. Just
Mm.
there's a little nugget. All right, so we're moving right along. We've got the first round leaders. You guys can see them on the board there. We are going to do top 40. Last week we did a long shot as well. I think going forward, we're just going to kind of keep this as the baseline. And then once we finish the top 40 pick, we can kind of just have general discussion of different guys. But we're going to move into the top 40. And Chandler, I'll let you go first.
So, top 40, you're not going to believe this stat, but in the last 36 rounds, who would you guess is number one in strokes gained approach in this field? There's no way you'll guess it.
Akshay.
No. It's Tom Hoge.
Oh, no.
Tom Hoge is number one in strokes gained on approach in this field in the last 36 rounds over Scotty Scheffler, over Corey Connors, over Cameron Young, over all these guys, Xander. He is another sneaky flusher. He hits the ball so damn good. And on a course where approach is going to be a really big deal, give me Tom Hoge, top 40. He's minus 200 because obviously the top 40 market is going to be
it sucks this week.
You're going to need to parlay it with something for sure. $7,000 on DraftKings, pretty cheap on DraftKings this week. Love that as a good play. He is number 2 in approach for the whole year, number 1 in the last 36, and he is number 1 in par 3 scoring in 2024 on tour, which is another big deal. He's my guy. Been playing good. Didn't play in the Masters. Last outing was in Houston. He finished 14th. People might kind of forget about him a little bit.
So you're ignoring course history here a little bit.
I am. Course history is not great.
Miscut, T25, miscut, T55.
Yep. I'm just going on what stats I think are important for this tournament and who pops in those stats.
You could argue that Tom Hoge
big time.
You could argue that he's a different golfer this year than he has been. This has to be his best year on tour in strokes gained category.
Yeah. I mean, last 5 events, 8th, 28th, 12th, 54th, 14th for a guy that's $7,000 on DraftKings and is, like I said, number 1 in this field strokes gained approach in his last 36 rounds. And that is, again, over some of the biggest names in golf: Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, Justin Thomas, Zalto, all these guys. So
I like it. I mean, I talked about Hoge, some of the tournaments pre-Masters as he was trying to qualify. I think I was on him maybe at the Players. Yeah, he disappointed me somewhere. And
at the Players, he was 54th.
Yeah, I think it was that
which
one.
I guess could, depending on his price and everything, could be a somewhat disappointment. But
I was all over him at the Players, and he finished 54th. Pete Dye course also, by the way. So hopefully there's no correlation to that. All right, well, I'm gonna give you mine, and I've never said this guy's name out loud. I don't think. I mean, I can't, at least remember if I have, but I'm going with Kurt Kitayama. And I want you to pull Kurt Kitayama's stats up right now. But I'm going to just tell you something. He's 9 for 10 top 40 finishes in his last 10 starts. 9 out of 10, he's finished in the top 40.
He's got
Now,
4 out of his last 5.
yeah, he had a miscut in there at the Arnold Palmer where he just like completely bled on approach and had some troubles around the greens. But other than that, the guy's a top 40 machine right now, and he would be 10 for 11, except he finished T41 at BMW. Um, I don't have a ton. I'm going with like form here, and if you want to consider kind of the finish profile for this specific choice of top 40, I mean, a guy going 9 for 10 is pretty remarkable. I
Yep.
don't know what the stats say.
The
They're
stats
not
are
bad.
the stats are fine.
Yeah.
He's half a shot off the tee, almost half a shot on approach. Around the green, he struggles a little bit, losing some, and putting basically neutral. The only things that would concern me about him is distance is one of his weapons. Accuracy, he's meh.
Last three though, he's been positive in the accuracy
Okay, well,
category.
good. Last year miscut at this event, but he is he's number 6 in par 3 scoring in 2024, which is a kind of a one that you probably wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, at probably a pretty good number, probably around like minus 200 with Hoagie.
On top 40.
Yeah, and he's 6,900 on DraftKings, which is also another pretty cheap number.
60. Yeah. See, I saw him on DraftKings at 6,900. I think if you're gonna take a DraftKings play there, you might go Hoagie. I feel like they could be potentially similar in ownership. There's gonna be a lot of game log guys that look back and see Kitayama, with all his finishes recently and potentially jump on him. But
I'll update the board, big guy. We got minus 175 on Hoagie now
minus 175.
instead of minus 200. It's going the right direction. Kitayama, by the way, minus 225.
Wow.
So you're not the only guy thinking that top 40's likely.
Makes me not like him. Let's get off of him. No, I think he'll be fine. I don't know. Again, this is no cut event, so you kind of lose some of the risk with some of these guys that maybe are a little bit streaky right now, or on a bit of a streak. You have less to worry about with that kind of stuff on a no cut event.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about a couple. So we got the board filled out here. I'll be sure to post that all over the place, especially when all of it wins. Let's talk about a name that I brought up last week, and just I don't know what happened to him, but anyways, Wyndham Clark. First appearance at the Masters, started off pretty well. I think he was like 2 under at the turn, maybe, or he got the 2 under at some point.
He was fine to start with.
Yeah, and then it just kind of felt like he just withered. And then after the first round, he made the comments about Liv, and I watched him. I saw all these people like ripping him on Twitter, like, "Oh, this is the biggest douchebag in golf," and he wants to be the villain so bad. And it felt a little more lighthearted.
He's very confident, I will say.
Yeah, and that's
I don't mind it. There's so much freaking buddy in golf now. You got Scotty Scheffler, Jesus up there.
Listen,
as the
I didn't want to bring it up,
child, and
I didn't want to bring it up, but since you did, part of the reason I got so frustrated this week is because the entire tour is on this dude's nuts. I mean, just stroking and soaking this dude, and
he's such a good guy, but he's so unlikable to me. I don't know.
Can't wait. I texted a group chat after the tournament. I said, I hope they find this dude cheating on his wife and doing mountains of cocaine before every tournament.
I heard a rumor that's definitely not true at all. That maybe the scandal, because we need a Scotty scandal at this point, is maybe that him and Burns
are gay lovers.
They're swinging.
Swinging.
They're
yeah.
swinging.
They're not gay lovers, but
maybe
swinging.
they're swinging.
Yeah.
Maybe the
and
kids.
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that I did hear that theory from
both the wives are pregnant right now at the same time. I don't know, but I feel like we need something, or we need somebody to challenge this dude. We need Aubert or Clark or somebody to be the villain or be something, and I'll cheer for that dude. Honestly, cheering for Scotty at this point. I don't know. And maybe it's the day and age we live in at this point. like the values are different. Like think about this dude, like back in the 70s or something.
Oh my God.
He'd have been loved by everybody. This guy,
Everybody.
he's the nicest guy. He goes to church. He's the
Yeah.
best guy. Times have changed maybe a little bit. People don't care about those things as much as they probably did in the past.
Oh, 100%.
And the public is pretty torn on him, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of it stemmed from the same thing that it stems from when we talk about him. It's like it's so hard to pull for this guy, and it's also hard to bet against
I
him.
think most gamblers also aren't fans of him because his number's so short.
Yeah.
And when you put your money elsewhere, you might lose. So,
Well, what is he? 3 out of 4 or whatever in his last.
yeah, I mean, it's getting
You're
ridiculous.
losing if you're not betting on him, which.
Yeah, I mean, his last 4 now: first, second, first.
And then he's 4 to 1 again at this tournament, and it's like
I won't be going there
No.
again, even though he just won and he's won 3 out of his last
I'll
4.
probably do the same thing I did last week and wait for him to have a slow start, which he never did last week, and see if the number goes up. It never went above 4 last week, by the way. At least, every time I tried to check and maybe he's gonna screw up here, or he didn't put it right in the middle of the fairway. I would check the number and it was still in the 3s or the 2s. So
Yeah, I won't be with the public on DraftKings. I feel like he's going to be fairly owned again.
he's gonna be like 30% probably.
Probably between 20 and 30. I'm just not going to go there. I don't know. I can maybe bank on a little bit of fatigue. He's played 4 events in the last 6 events. Maybe what's her face has the baby now.
Yeah,
I don't know. You got to look for something at this point, I feel
Yeah.
like. And I just won't be going there.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll clip that part out that we just talked about. I don't want to say anymore. I can't get on board, and I wish I could.
I think
Because
he's
he's so damn
it's
good,
not,
but-
not even like to talk bad about him or anything. He's just kind of boring.
Yeah, he doesn't
just
have
kind of
like,
boring.
and for him, the biggest problem that I had was for him to sit up there after and be like, I'm just playing golf. Golf doesn't identify me.
I would love
my
him-
victory was secure on the cross. It's like,
I would love him so much more if he was like, yeah, I wake up and piss excellence.
Yeah,
These guys
exactly.
got nothing for my stuff.
Yeah.
They can't handle my stuff.
and then
I would love that.
you'd see a little bit more of like, kind of inter PGA competition, because right now it feels like there is none. It feels like it's all the PGA guys on Scotty's nuts, and then they all hate the live guys. That's just what it feels like.
No, he's smoking these guys, and I would love for him to get up on the podium and tell them, yeah, they got nothing for me. I'm way better than all these guys.
I can't see him doing that.
But he's
I
not
would-
going to
yeah.
do it. No, he's not going to do it. He's just going to continue to cash checks quietly, and they're all just going to. They probably don't like him either. There's probably a pretty good portion of guys on the PGA Tour that maybe don't like him, but they're
Yeah.
very quiet about it. They can't come out publicly and say like, "Oh yes."
Yeah, and I wish they would get a little bit louder. Maybe they could have something for him. All right. Well, we kind of touched on Ludwig for the Masters. You got any love for him this week?
kind of the same thing with who are you saying? Oh, Fleetwood. He's gonna be fairly popular. He won the RSM, I believe,
Which is like a comp course, basically.
which is a comp
Yeah.
course. But I saw this guy in person. I feel like distance courses actually are better for him. He is long off the tee. I feel like I would rather him at a U.S. Open, a PGA, a Masters that plays a little longer. And I know that doesn't make any sense to say because he won at the RSM. He wanted a shorter, place your ball here, pick it apart kind of course. But for me, 10,400 on DraftKings, projected as potentially the highest owned player on DraftKings this week, 22% is what I'm seeing. I can't go there based on the same reasons I said Fleetwood. He could win the golf tournament just like Fleetwood could win the golf tournament. But at 10,400, potential 22% ownership, I will be going elsewhere, namely Xander.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of negate what you've already said, or to coincide with what you already said, he won the RSM, which is a short course, and he finished second at Pebble Beach, which is also a short course. So clearly he can get it done
I think
anywhere.
that his game, he can win anywhere.
Yeah, but
It's well-rounded.
maybe you're kind of looking for a little bit of comeback to earth moment here.
Some sort. I gotta look for something. Just like I would say, like Scotty. One of Scotty's weapons is distance as well. So we take away at least one part of his game. I know he's amazing at everything, but we take away one part of his game, and maybe he has to come back to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
So for me, Aubert, same kind of thing. Maybe we take away his distance a little bit. And namely like Fleetwood, the price is too high for me, and the projected ownership is too high for me.
Um, Speaking of pricing, so it's not the same as it has been. There's no guys in the 5K range on DraftKings this week,
Nope.
which does make it a little harder to get to Scotty.
Yes.
But if you were, you'd be down in the sixes, and there's two guys in the sixes that have won this year. And I like both of them a little bit, but I like one more than the other. I'm talking about Jake Knapp and Nick Dunlap. I think they're both sitting at 6,500 on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Dunlap actually had a decent second round at the Masters.
He did. He did. I believe he was actually, weirdly enough, he was number one. His average strokes gained approach was number one in the Masters.
Yeah,
Even though it was only on 2 rounds, so take it with a grain of salt.
right.
But that's kind of a weird thing for a guy who missed the cut, which tells me he
Oh,
did a lot of
100%.
other things poorly.
Yeah, so he's a bad. So accuracy seems to be, and just looking at the stats, accuracy does seem to be a problem, which you know is a again sort of a staple of this course and success here. Um, he does hit the ball far, so that's kind of like. But I just got a weird feeling that we're gonna see, and I don't know. American Express, is that Pete Dye Stadium course where he won the American Express?
Off the top of my head, I do.
I
Not
think
know.
it's the Pete Dye Stadium course, which again, Pete Dye.
Mhm.
I don't think that's a super long course. I don't think it requires. Yeah, it's 7,187 yards, par 72. I don't think it's.
not a long course at
I
all.
don't think it's a driver heavy course, and we saw him shoot.
Maybe that's part of his problem. That's something to consider with these guys too. Is if they don't necessarily have to hit driver off the tee, maybe they're really good at hitting a 3-wood off the tee or a driving iron off the tee, which also could get them to some of those landing spots.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's a tough stat to find out, but it's possible.
Yeah. I just feel like he had a good finish at Houston Open before the Masters where he was horrible off the tee from an accuracy standpoint again.
He's been kind of up and down.
His finishes are weird. I mean, he'll like make the cut and then he'll just
Yeah.
finish 50th.
Like I said, even his stat profile for the Masters is so weird with his strokes gained approach, and then all of his other stats are just terrible.
And that could be a product of Augusta and just like having no
It
idea.
could be a product of Augusta, and it could be a product of being a college kid. He's a college kid that won an event, and he had to decide whether he was going to quit college in that moment and become a professional golfer, which was always his dream, anyways, or potentially just not take advantage of the opportunity, all of the exemptions, the sponsorships in that moment, and he had to just drop it and say, "Okay, I'm going to learn how to be a pro right now,
Yeah.
earlier than I'm probably ready."
Well,
So you'll see some of that inconsistency.
and I think that I wish I would have had or seen a better finish at Pebble Beach so I could get an idea of the short course success and what he does there. But to me, it kind of shows, and just looking at his approach numbers, I think he's an iron guy. I think he
I can see that.
sneaky flusher, and if he can find a way to keep it pretty tight off the tee this week,
Yeah, we almost don't have enough stats on him to like know what he is yet.
right? And Jake Knapp's probably similar. I don't have a ton on him, but
The only thing I do know about Knapp is he cranks it.
yeah, that's true.
He can get it out there. He can
Yeah,
move
he
it.
is distance is an
Yeah.
absolute weapon for this guy.
He
So
can move it.
maybe less of him, but he's found a way to kind
He's up and down too.
Yeah.
Just like Dunlap. He's great one week and terrible the next week.
of yeah.
But
I think I like Dunlap more than Knapp here.
Yeah.
And I'll probably sprinkle him in DraftKings just because I don't expect ownership to be anything on him.
no, I wouldn't think so. Especially after a miscut. I mean, barely missed the cut. Missed it by 1,
That's the other thing. It's not like he missed a cut by a huge number,
and was
and he finished with a birdie. I'm pretty sure.
just didn't putt at all.
Yeah.
Was, like I said, pretty dang good on approach. Yeah, at that price, I don't hate it. I've already made some DraftKings lineups, and to be honest, I do have him on a couple because he can help you get to certain guys. Now, I won't have a lot of Scotty. I'll maybe sprinkle him, but if you wanted to go to Scotty, that's not a bad option. Or you can double stack. I'm going to do a lot of two guys at the top. I'm going to do a lot of probably Xander, another guy we didn't really talk about, Cantlay. I'll be doing Xander O'Bear and stuff like that to kind of,
No cut, can't lay. That's what I like to say.
dude, yeah, he's another just boring guy.
Yeah, that's the problem. All the not boring guys are at live.
This might be like the boring guy week though. This might be like Scotty. Xander's kind of boring sometimes.
Fitz is boring.
Cantlay. Fitz was the next guy I was gonna say. Fitz.
JT's boring. I don't care how hard he tries to be not boring. He's super boring.
Poston or Thomas?
No, Thomas.
I love the Poston thing before. Did you see it before the Masters started? The little ad that they did. It was
Yeah.
so great.
One more guy I want to talk about, and it's mostly we're kind of getting towards the end here. Got about 5 minutes left on recording time, so throw out some names that we haven't really mentioned that you like, or
Okay.
yeah,
No, I've got a couple in mind. So, one that I will have on DraftKings that he's not going to be on. People are not going to pick this guy. I don't think, at least. It's Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley gained, excuse me. Keegan Bradley gained 4 shots on approach in the final round. He was flushing it. That's a massive number at Augusta. 4 shots on approach. Look for him to kind of keep that going. He's another guy that he's 7,300 on DraftKings. I don't know what his number is to win or any of that stuff. But DraftKings 7,300 will not be highly owned. Shot 300 in his final round. Keegan Bradley is kind of a sneakier pick for me.
He's played here 3 times: 2011, 2017, and 2023. So you can throw 2017 and 2011 out the window. That's too far back. Last year finished T48, and approach was so obviously the problem. Gained in every other category. So if you're kind of
coming in this time with some good iron play.
coming in with good iron form, good approach form, I like that a lot. I feel like that could be something.
What are your thoughts on Tom Kim? Because he's another guy that was excellent in round 4, but I just don't have a feel for what this guy.
I think we saw a quick pop, and I think we're gonna see. I think another course comparison here is like Sedgefield, right, where they play Wyndham. I think guys that have success at Wyndham do well here, and he might have won that event maybe. Tom Kim, but anyways,
Another guy that like Sedgefield's comparison is that's the tournament I went to where I saw O'Bear posting these guys. Glover. Glover won that tournament when I went.
Glover. I don't know what to do with Glover.
But guys that were in contention were Glover, O'Bear, Poston.
Yeah. Tom Kim won Wyndham in 2022. So I don't know.
He's a tough one to figure.
He's been bad. Like, other than
7,400 on DraftKings though. So
yeah, I mean, the
you
price
want to
is
try
right.
and take a flyer on a guy that maybe figured it out?
I did see that his number dropped significantly on.
He was, yes.
So that makes me think
was bet hard.
A lot of guys are going to be on him on DraftKings as well.
Probably so.
So, all right, you got anything else you want to add before we check out?
Nope, I think that's it. Just plug and play, doing what we can here to help you guys out. So either going to listen or you're not, but keep the views up. We got our most viewed TikTok recently.
Most viewed YouTube, most viewed TikTok. We do plan on converting the videos into podcast form. We'll probably get that rolling hopefully within the next week or so, and just kind of make sure that everything's available in different spaces for everybody. It's a lot easier to listen to a podcast than it is to go to YouTube and pull up a video and do all that stuff, especially with like when I listen to this kind of stuff. I listen to it while I'm working out, while I'm driving, whatever, and it's just a little bit easier to access that in podcast form. But as I mentioned again earlier in the video, make sure you guys are taking advantage of the bonus bets and deposit matches from the link in the description of this video. If you're new to sports betting, you can access all of those for first-time users across many different sports books, and the sleeper and prize picks is in there as well. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, appreciate the support. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media. We're at the Bet Haven everywhere, and we'll do this again next week. See you guys on Tuesday, Wednesday, next week after the tournament, after we've won a bunch of money. we'll do it all over again. All right, see ya.